All right. Financial accuracy and visibility, some goals and challenges. AI is revolutionizing key financial tasks such as budgeting, forecasting, financial analysis, and corporate performance management. AI-guided experiences enable deep data analysis using process-based models to uncover valuable insights. And financial projections become more accurate thanks to AI's ability to process vast data sets and enhance decision making. I actually use this kind of area, this finance area of AI a lot, doing analysis of P&L statements. I think I talked about that on the last webinar. Just recently had my guy pump all of our credit card statements, bank statements into Copilot to do an analysis of where we are spending money on subscriptions and things that we may be underutilizing so that we can figure out, okay, well, rather than having to go through hundreds of line items of spend by hand and figuring out, okay, which of these are subscriptions, repetitive, and then underutilized, not something easy for a human to do. So you can pump that into AI, and that can happen within seconds and minutes at all, rather than at all. So pretty fun test. He actually had a good time with that one.
It's
people
scary how many subscriptions you have, isn't it?
Oh, I know. They just balloon. I mean, and even in your personal life, you could, not that I'm recommending doing this, but you could upload your credit card statements and bank statements to Copilot or a tool like that and have it go find all the recurring subscriptions that you have that you might not even know about. So take that for what it's worth. Accountants, analysts, auditors, ops, procurement. I mean, I think across the board, you're seeing that every role can use AI. Russ, Mike, interested to hear your thoughts in the financial space, how you're using Copilot and what you're seeing day to day.
Well, actually, I would like you guys to expand on a question that I brought up before. One of my concerns with Copilot was, what data are you feeding it, and is it private and secure? So if you could explain the privacy for people out there, like, oh, I don't want to upload my budget, upload my P&L statement. Is it secure? Can I put that out there?
Well, it's beautiful you mentioned that, because there's actually a question in the Q&A chat about that too. But speaking to that, I can explain here a little bit. So Microsoft has two different ways for Copilot to search. There's a web, and then there's work is what it's called. If you have Copilot for Microsoft 365, you can go into the work. And what the work does is that it looks at everything within your Microsoft environment and looks at that business data. Whenever it's looking at that and you're prompting it, Microsoft has something called enterprise data protection. And essentially what enterprise data protection says is that anything that I prompt or try to pull from my own internal business information or things like that I prompt and try to use, that won't be taken out of my environment and used in the learning model. So for anything internal to you, especially if you're going through that work functionality and looking at stuff within your Microsoft environment, none of that's being used for the learning model. So it's not out there in the ether, if you will. Whereas if you do take something out, so you pull it out and throw it into ChatGPT or something, or even the web-based version of Copilot, that's where you have to say, hey, I'm ingesting it into it. There's potential where it can then be used for a learning model or something like that. But if you're using Copilot for Microsoft 365 with your work data within your Microsoft graph, then you don't have to worry about them actually using your data for the model. It's completely secure. So that's, you can rest assured, if you're using business data, proprietary business data, and keeping it in the confines of Copilot for work or Copilot for Microsoft 365, it's not being used for a learning model.
It's interesting you say that. I actually asked Copilot, what data do you have access to? And it actually gives a pretty good response. How much do you trust the response from these AI models to tell you what data it does or does not have access to?
That's a good question. Copilot has specific policies in place for it. So whenever they say they have enterprise data protection, they truly don't they don't use the data for the large language models. I do trust them because I will say Copilot's the only one that actually has a true plugin into that business data through that tool. Everything else, you're taking data out of something and ingesting it into it. Whereas Copilot is looking directly within your environment, and you're not having to take anything out of it. It's literally like a fact finder that's confined to your environment. That can pull stuff from the web if you need it to. So that's where I say Copilot is a little bit different. As far as these other tools, it's hit or miss. I mean, you were taking it out of a secure environment and ingesting it into a chat GPT, for example, and there's no guarantees unless you, I believe if you pay for their service, they have some guarantees, but it's still, as far as trusting it, that's a good point. I do trust Microsoft though whenever they say that because they're the only ones that truly have a true business solution that I've seen that actually plugs directly into your Microsoft graph and lives within there. It doesn't stray from that.
Awesome. Yeah, and then just to give people an idea, so there's the model that has all the logic. The model can read your data, and the model can also go out to the web and then pull those together and form its unified responses. But the data that it's pulling from is containerized to you, except for whatever it's grabbing from the web. So it's not trained, like Russell said, on ABC companies and open tiers and JM Pereira's company altogether. It's just only looking at one company or another and then using that common model across the whole platform.
Yep.
So pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's huge when especially when you're uploading financial data. I just did this recently where I took our last 5 years of P&L statements, threw it in there, and I said, just analyze it. Just tell me the trends you're seeing. Were my costs up? Was my revenue down? So it's able to take that data that you feed it, analyze it, and then you could ask it questions. I told it to give me a 2025 budget. And then I asked, now I'm going to take that information, upload my current P&L for the year, and just see where we stand.
Did you get any good insights? Anything you didn't know before that maybe you had an idea about, or?
Yeah, so like some of the miscellaneous stuff, like whether we bought more tools this year. It's like, oh wow, your tool spending is up, and it's all about the data. You have to have concise data. You have to feed it the right information, and that's what I'm really learning, and what we're really focusing on now going forward is just giving our Copilot the right data so we could track these trends year to year.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit on something that we haven't really talked about is data hygiene. And I think when it comes to financial analysis, data hygiene is super important, especially when you're talking about giving Copilot access to your company data. If you have good data and bad data intermingled together, it's reading from both of those sources. So the results that you might get might not be as good as they could be if the data was clean.
Yeah, I whenever I talk about this, I call it pretty much Copilot as a very much, or really any AI tool for that matter, but it's a garbage in, garbage out type of solution, right? So if the data is inconsistent, if it is outdated, things like that, the responses that it gets or that you get from it are not going to be the responses that you want. So it's paramount, especially looking through different financial stuff and trying to do analysis on your on financial files and documents and things like that. It's paramount to have that stuff updated and as up to date as possible and consistent. You really want to make it as consistent as possible as well.